You know, I definitely planned on starting much earlier than what I did. And I actually had sat down and started earlier, but I kind of got sidetracked. I had some semi important things pop up that I just, that you guys probably can't hear me. See, that's the kind of weekend I'm having. Let's see, let's turn this up. Okay, perhaps you could. There we go. So, I had everything set up ready to go much earlier than what I do now. I know a lot of listeners um, live on the East Coast. Um, if you're up on a Saturday night and expecting any type of upload coming from me, I apologize that it's coming through so late. I just had some important things pop up. But first, let me just tell you, I had a lot of, I guess, internal struggles thinking if I should upload this. The reason why I did was it boggles my mind how some people really think. I know, given the statistics and starting to learn a lot more about Reddit, and along with Reddit comes Twitch. And what I found out when listening to this the other day, I was in complete shock and horror that somebody would not only have the balls, but the nerve to F and say this. You know, maybe I've come to realize that maybe my language, because of the hatred that I have towards individuals like this, might stop me from, gaining more followers. I don't know, but I do know that this just made me utterly sick to my stomach. And it's going to be the second story uh, regarding Twitch, the streaming platform. I often joked that while it is true, the second year that the PlayStation 3 came out, you got to remember the first year Madden Football was, released as soon as the PlayStation 3 released. This was before, online ordering and everybody and their mom invented some type of, what they call robot to, hog up all these orders. I got it by pure luck. I waited 1 week, walked into a Best Buy, saw a guy carrying one, and I asked the guy, "Do you have any in stock?" He's like, "We just got 3 today," and he was carrying around the 30 gigabyte version, and I wanted the 60 gigabyte, and he's like, "I have one 60 gigabyte left," and I remember, "Can I get it?" He's like, "It's all yours." Brought it to me, and the first thing that came to mind was like, wow, this is pretty damn heavy. Bought an extra controller, bought Madden, bought, damn, what was the name of that game? Resistance Fallen Man, and bought Call of Duty, but it was set in. It was still one of their older, not the older, but it was the version where you're fighting World War II. And I remember playing that, just thinking, wow, like look at the smoke, it looks so freaking real. Just like I remember Nintendo going to Super Nintendo, thinking like, wow, these graphics, like they just look so real. And I remember just dropping $800 and just being like completely happy and satisfied walking out of there. And it was in the afternoon, so not a lot of people, were crowded in and expecting, and it was on a Tuesday. And I was like, damn, I can't believe I lucked out like this. The only year I have never gotten this PlayStation or ever gotten this PlayStation, excuse me, was this year. One, I bought a brand new LG OLED that, I mean, that sucker was about as, probably, it was thinner than this cell phone. And, moving it around, it almost felt like you were going to break it, but beautiful TV. And then I ended up, giving it away to family because I really didn't have time. But I had this whole setup, man. I had the sound bar, a Sonos sound bar, a Sonos subwoofer, two Sonos number ones, two Sonos number threes in the back. I mean, this thing was just legit. And playing my PlayStation 4, I got hooked on Metal Gear Phantom Pain. And then I start, hearing the rumors. And what I always used to do was go into GameStop and I would put in my order. I would prepay for PlayStation, and they're like, oh, they're only doing it online. But by the time online opened, like, everything was already taken up. And it was bullshit because every time you tried to get one, somebody else was taking them up. And I mean, I'm talking about like the handful. And I mean, it doesn't matter to Sony. Sony's getting the money, and you can't blame them. What you can blame is the fact that, these companies allowed it, where they even have, like, I go now and I mean, I'm not really even interested in Pokemon, but I'll see like things when I'm buying top loaders that say, we could only sell one set of cards, given customer demands. Well, why the fuck aren't you doing that online or with your customers regarding, PlayStation 5s? And so, I was kind of happy that I gave away that OLED, even though I paid a shitload of money for it. The person I gave it to, I mean, she's the world to me. And she's my, I helped raise her. And she deserved it because of, all her wonderful achievements. And, I'm kind of glad because, now that I've had the opportunity to purchase one, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to. But back again, I always do those long roundabout stories. PlayStation, with the PlayStation 3 when it first came out, Madden was released. I played that like nonstop. At the time, that was when I was starting to come out of the music industry little by little. I was transitioning out. And what was weird was they carried over the record from that year to the following year. And because of my record from that year, not having a lot of people to play against and whooping a shitload of people on there, and then doing the same the following year, I was ranked number 2 on PlayStation Network. And I tell myself, I don't know if Twitch was out back then. I can't recall the year it was released. But, man, I would have been probably rolling in the dough for as much as I was just... I mean, I had, all these direct messages like, I want to play you, I want to play you, I want to play you. And, yeah, there were some games I got beat, but I learned. But the thing that also sucked at that time was, and I don't know if any of you guys could vouch for this who remember playing it, was that goal line was a fucking glitch. Excuse me for cussing. I remember getting so pissed. People running goal lines all the way from, say I punted the ball and got them on the 1 yard line. They would run goal line all the way to freaking the end zone, and they would eat up all the clock. And no matter what defense you called, it was a glitch. And, it pissed me off like none other. And, while they're playing cover 2, I'm just running men straight and burning their ass every time. They could play cover 3. I'm freaking throwing screen passes. I mean, they're playing man. I was eating them up. And so the only way they had to combat that was by using goal line glitch. That had carried on, but the fact that I was number 2, and if I had Twitch, I could have been rolling in some dough from what I gather when these people gain, a lot of attraction. I know it's mostly on computers, and I don't, I was in the PlayStation 3, so I may be completely wrong. But when he was talking about Twitch, I was expecting to hear the stories like the first one, but nothing prepared me like the second story. So stick around for that, by all means, because it is... Yeah, it literally dropped my jaw, and it takes a lot to do that. So, here we go.
Twitch is practically known as one of the biggest streaming-related platforms out there on the internet. You can't deny the impact that Twitch's presence has made, especially in regards to the hundreds upon thousands of viewers that tune into the website on a daily basis. Watching someone in a live setting brings all sorts of intimacy to the table that a simple YouTube video just can't. That being said, this level of intimacy has called for some of the most repulsive and offensive content to ever grace the internet. So, today, we're going to take a look into the most disturbing parts of Twitch. Before we hop in the video though, I would like to say that all of the things that I'm going to bring up are alleged, unless proven true in a court of law. I highly encourage all of you to do your own research on any of the subjects that I bring up today. Also, I don't want to get into legal trouble. That's kind of why I'm saying this, just in case. Also, I apologize. A lot of my language today is going to be very fluffed due to the fact that some of these subjects are very heavy, and I'm unsure how YouTube would take it if I just flat out said them. So I'm going to be careful with my word choice, and I apologize for that. But anyway though, let's hop in the video. Joe Daddy 505. I generally don't put out trigger warnings for my videos, but big SA trigger warning on this one. It gets serious. Joe Daddy 505 is a former Twitch streamer. He was mainly popular in the NBA 2K16 scene and would bring in a rather good-sized crowd of people to watch his streams. Little did people know though that a monster would reveal itself every single time that camera flipped off. After a day of streaming, Joe decided to sign off for the day and get off the computer. The only problem though is that the stream didn't actually end, and his headset would pick up everything and anything that was going on within that room. While there was no video present, the audio itself can only be described as demented. The audio basically allows you to hear Joe verbally harass and degrade his girlfriend, and you can even hear his girlfriend screaming back at him and crying. While all of this is happening, thousands of viewers are listening in. News reporter Anna Merlan had this to say about the audio. The audio lasts about 6 minutes. The man being streamed from Joe Daddy's account sounds extremely intoxicated and can be heard calling the woman a bitch, a whore, and a slut, making derogatory remarks about her vagina and accusing her of cheating. She can be heard crying, screaming, and saying, "Get off of me," and "I'm going to call the cops." At times, she's screaming so wildly, it's impossible to make out what she's saying. It's unclear whether the woman was also being sexually assaulted, but many commenters on YouTube and Reddit have speculated that's the case. After listening to the audio, we can't rule it out. After this horrific incident unfolded, many users were quick to download the stream and get the audio itself. It would then be uploaded to various websites all over the internet. One such example actually reaching 600,000 views in just the span of a few days. Obviously, there was an immediate uproar and backlash at Joe in regards to the disturbing things that he had done to his girlfriend. There was even a since deleted video of Keemstar from Drama Alert going over what had happened. Joe was pretty quick on damage control, but it didn't exactly work in his favor, especially considering the fact that the evidence that was brought against him was pretty damning. He would actually take to Instagram, posting multiple things about the incident, and I'm going to show you the Instagram post, but you'll kind of begin to realize a pattern here. It's almost impossible for Joe to take the blame. It's almost as if he's like never at fault. And even when he does admit fault, he like follows it up with another thing that justifies his behavior. It's absolutely insane seeing how he'll jump from like X thing didn't happen. That is absolutely not true at all, to okay, X thing did happen, but it wasn't like that, to okay, it was like that, but I'm like going through a lot right now. Things are hard on me. Take a look at some of the Instagram posts. You guys have it all twisted up. I'm getting so much hate right now. Literally, I'm getting 30 DMs after and after. I got drunk. Yes, I know I did. My father recently passed away, and we had an argument couple days ago, and she brought it back up on stream, so I might have got upset. No, I did not rape her. I hit her and fell on top of her and hit her again. I know I shouldn't have done that. It's a fucked up move I made. I'm sorry. You guys think this is all fun and games? I have my fucking side. I did not rape her. I know I hit her. I'm sorry. I was intoxicated. I can't take this hate anymore. I'm inches to kill myself. Fuck you all that have told me to kill myself when you don't know the full story. It was all a misunderstanding. Yes, I was drunk, but she hit me first, and she called me a bitch. So, yes, I had to do what I did.
Okay, there's two things I want to clear up. Yes, it is absolutely 100% positively true that a woman should not lay hands on you. If she lays hands on you, and no matter how bad it may sound, you do have a right to defend yourself. And that being said, from what it sounds like this prick did was go way the hell overboard. Now, if she hits you, push her. Don't fucking punch her. Don't, you overpower so many of these women. I'm not going to say all women, because there's some pretty badass women out there that know how to fight. But, if they smack you, punch you, whatever, 99% of the time, you're going to overpower them. Don't punch them. Push them away. Get out of the situation. Walk away. If they follow you, then call the police. Unless you live like a county in which, I lived in, where, the same way they treated that Pateo girl, maybe there's a place where you two can, split for the night, and, hopefully things will be better the next day. There's a lot of police departments that do that, except for the previous county I lived in. They, if you're a lighter shade of brown, or I should say a lighter shade of white, boy, do they love harassing you. With or without evidence. It doesn't matter. I seen it firsthand. Thank God to this day I didn't experience it, but what I seen firsthand did have to do with me. But luckily there was such a lack of evidence that it didn't have to go that route. But I knew they were itching for that opportunity to, probably throw me in jail, which would have been a first in my life. But, from what it sounds like, this dude went all out to beat the shit out of her. And why she didn't, file the charges is beyond me. I have no clue. But, some women are just as stupid as men. They don't want to see their lover, get in trouble, so they stand up for them after they hear something as horrendous as this. Now, I haven't gone out and looked it up and listened to it. I don't really want to, for that, for the fact of the matter. So, I heard it's pretty bad, but, still, there's no justification. None whatsoever.
I only had a couple of drinks. A lot of my social media has been deleted, but I'm sorry this happened. I learned my lesson. Even with all of this evidence and Joe coming forward saying that he did lay his hands on his lover, it wasn't enough for the police to do anything. And even then, if they wanted to further the case, a victim would have to come forward and bring up the stuff that had happened. But I'm assuming the girlfriend never did, considering he never got charged. Joe would basically go radio silent on all sorts of social media. Not only would his audience drop him, but so would Twitch and YouTube. Also, somehow this audio is hosted on YouTube, and if your morbid fascination gets the best of you when you do decide to take a listen, just be aware of the fact that it's pretty heavy. It's hard. It's a very, very disturbing piece of audio. Amos Yee.
Okay. This right here alone really I can't describe. I mean, without without sounding hyperbolic, I literally wanted to throw up in my mouth, and I'm not a violent person, but then I literally wanted to beat the shit out of this prick. From what I gathered, he was kicked out of his own country, found asylum here in the United States, in the shit that he says. And that's coming from being a father. Once I became a father, you know, not that I was a bad man, but, you know, there's a point in all of our lives that, you know, there's some things that we did that weren't, you know, we're not always too proud of either, you know, fooling around with, you know, women, you know, just like, you know, women will fool around with guys, you know, being promiscuous, whatever. And now that I'm a father, I just see all that as like, my goodness, you know, you know, my behavior definitely would have been different. But what this fucking prick says, wow. You guys might know this better than me, but prepared. Just be prepared.
Amos Yee is a Singapore very disturbing piece of audio. Amos Yee is a Singaporean YouTube personality that has stirred up a lot of drama around his name. While this example only loosely ties into Twitch since he had done some debates on the platform, I just couldn't skip over this example. In 2017, Amos's YouTube channel would amass over 50,000 subscribers. This was mainly due to a very controversial video that he had uploaded. The video was basically him being critical of the then deceased Lee Kuan Yew and the religion Christianity. He would actually be imprisoned due to him violating the Protection from Harassment Act and for wounding religious feelings. His imprisonment drew a lot of criticism from human rights organizations, and he was eventually granted asylum in the United States of America. When he arrived to America, he was actually a semi-popular figure. He showed up on shows such as The Rubin Report and would have a chance of speaking at Harvard. His speech would actually be canceled the day before. This was due to the fact that he had some very controversial and interesting opinions about a certain subject. His fame would steadily begin to decline after these views began to surface and he got a lot more public about it. Well, Caden, what are these views? Why don't you listen to the man himself? He'll happily explain it.
I'm the guy who has been stirring shit up within the skeptic community by supporting pedophilia, trying to eliminate age of consent laws for sex, legalizing child pornography, and ending discrimination. Eliminate the community by being the guy who has been.
Why don't you listen to the man himself? He'll happily explain it.
I'm the guy who has been stirring shit up within the skeptic community by supporting pedophilia. Trying to eliminate age of consent laws for sex, legalizing child pornography, and ending discrimination for pedophiles.
You're arguing that all age of consent laws should be abolished, that a 2 or 3 year old could sufficiently engage in sexual activity with somebody that's 20, 30, 40 years old, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would say sexual penetration, perhaps not until the age of 7 or something, but sexual acts, definitely.
Yeah, just right out of the gate, just said that.
How absolutely disgusting is that? You know, you hear the stories, and actually it was, I don't know if it's coincidence, because I know, you know, YouTube has their algorithm where you watch something like this and then something similar is going to pop up, and pops up the story of the inmate in prison who killed his new cellmate, who came in, and, you know, they get to know their new cellmate, and right away this guy came out and said, yeah, I'm in here for, you know, he starts spilling his guts, and that's apparently the last thing they need to hear, because if this guy, let's say, the guy who's, been occupying the cells, a part of any, one of the gangs that are there, it is now his duty to kill this person. And he told this person, shut up, transfer out in the morning. And this guy just kept on going on and on and on, sounding more and more boastful about it. The guy describes it when the judge gives him a chance to talk and says, well, guy was taller than me. I knocked him out, fell to the floor, grabbed his shoelaces, choked him to death. They asked him why. He said, because I asked him several times to please shut up and I didn't want to hear about his case and about what he was boasting about, what he did. And so I had to kill him. And could you imagine if you were in that prison cell and you're a short timer, say you're in there for some white collar crime or whatever, and you're 5 years in, this guy, for his sake, was already in there on a life sentence. So taking life wasn't, to him, it was like not that big of a deal. So he did what he had to do. But I couldn't imagine being a short timer and then having to deal with something like that, because then what he said is you're marked because you didn't handle it, or you didn't get him to what they say. I know I've watched 60 Days In, where they get people to roll out. He gave this guy every opportunity to do that. He didn't do it. And to hear this sick...
Okay. A lot of people immediately assumed that Amos was trolling. There's no way he legitimately held these views. There's no way at all. But anytime he got pulled into a debate panel, he maintained it, and he said it with his chest. He was unwavered. Due to how outspoken he was about this subject, on May of 2018, social media sites that hosted Amos's content began to remove his accounts, first being his YouTube, and then his Twitter, Patreon, WordPress blog, and his Facebook page, undergoing the same fate. Following his ban on these major social media websites, he kind of just went under the radar. I guess it's kind of easy when you're banned on the major platforms, but yeah, just there wasn't much out there about Amos anymore. Crazily enough though, even up to this point, people still thought Amos was trolling. People were still in denial. They were like, yeah, there's no way this guy holds these views. But people's perceptions would change in October of 2020. Amos would be arrested and charged with solicitation and possession of cheese pizza, also known as kitty stuff, if you know what I mean. If you're somehow missing it, I don't know how. Yeah. It's been reported that there were thousands of messages shared between him and this individual, and apparently there were some pretty risque photos and maybe videos sent. Not good. Initially, there were 18 charges brought against him. It was then brought down to 2 via a plea deal, and now he gets to get out in 2026. It's a sad world, lads. It's a really sad world.
I wanted to play it up to that point for that reason alone. Parents, my daughter's 7 years old. So, at this point in time, one thing that I can say that her mother is very good on is education and maintaining a very healthy lifestyle, and very protective. Same just like me. So thank goodness we're not one of those parents that are just, hey, here's an iPad. Go and knock yourself out, kid. Go and keep yourself busy while, I go binge watch whatever's on, wherever. Pay attention to your children. you got to remember, the moment that anything is posted, the moment that they take a picture and post it on their Facebook, on their Twitter, on their Instagram, make a video on TikTok, just know that that is now in the public domain and it can never be deleted. You will have some sick bastard out there that just might find something ungodly in his mind that will lust over something so innocent. And just like the father who killed his daughter's stalker, here she is, 13 years old. I don't know how old the man, the stalker, was, but I know no charges were levied against him when he tried to break in the house and out of self-defense he killed the stalker. But I mean, that's the day and age we're coming to. So please, 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 watch over the most important things in your life, and that is, if you're a parent, that's your children. If you don't have children, then yourself. So, with that being said, I have been recommended a couple new true crime presenters that I'm eager to check out. So, like I said, I just wanted to play these two. I like what this guy has been throwing out. I'll have to play a full video of his coming up, but yeah, I'm eager to check out some other pages. Again, sorry that I got such a late start on all this, but yeah, we'll definitely get back to it. But until then, I'll be coming right back at you guys. Too early to throw out the peace sign because I'm not gonna just stop right now, so I'll be right back.